Okay, dear friends, welcome to this session of online analog circuits simulation laboratory. Here we shall perform one simple experiment using the TINA TI software. Okay, so I hope you all have downloaded the TINA TI simulation software. Okay, so this is a handy tool which helps us uh, implement different analog circuits. Now today, let us do one experiment using a simple, useful analog circuits. So let us open the TINA software first. The experiment that we shall perform today is based on BJT based differential amplifier or bipolar junction transistor based differential amplifier. As we know, differential amplifier is a very important element. It is the primary element of the first important component of the operational amplifier. But today we shall learn only the performance of a bipolar junction transistor based differential amplifier. So what we start with, as we know, the basic differential amplifier consists of two matched transistors, matched in terms of beta or forward beta. So what we start with in the menu, let us start from the semiconductor. So this gives us a repertoire of different components using including ideal operational amplifier, then 555 timer, various diodes, Zener diodes, LED, Varicap diode, Schottky diode, then NPN bipolar transistor, PNP bipolar transistor, NMOS transistor, PMOS transistor, then junction FETs and all that. Now we shall start with the bipolar junction transistor NPN. Okay, so this is the first transistor and we'll require another. So what we do, we bring another transistor, and as we know that in books we have seen that the two transistors face each other. Okay, so it is an circuit simulation, so we shall try to make the diagram as if it appears in the book. Okay, so in order that the two transistors face each other, we have to apply these mirror properties. Okay, that's what we have done. Now, so in order to choose the transistor properly, what we shall do, let us go over to the properties, right? And if you remember that in our laboratory we used one variety of NPN transistor that goes by the name of BC547. So let us see. I believe if we have that particular transistor in the repertoire. So going to the generalized NPN, we find that here all the 2N varieties are there. Okay, so BC547, it is there. Just see BC547. Yeah, so here we have got various varieties, BC547, BC547A, BC and so on. BC547, if you take, you will find the beta to be very large value, say 1162. BC547B has got even a smaller value, say 700 or so. BC547A, if you pick up this particular transistor, you will have, as you can see, the beta values is the lowest of all the varieties. So here you see the forward beta is of the value, it is 463. Yeah, right. So 463 is the forward beta value. Okay, here 463. So it satisfies our purpose. Let us choose it and we will put OK. That is the transistor. Similarly for this one also, we'll put the properties. Okay, and choose from amongst all possible transistors BC547, that is here. So let us see BC 54, BC547A. Okay, so both the transistors should be matched in the values of beta. So both the transistors are of type BC547. Now we have to put the resistors for between collector and the power supply. So let us go over to the basic, and from there let us pick up one resistor and rotate it by 90 degree. So in this manner, we put it here, and the value should not be 1K. Okay, so let us first bring in the another resistor, put it here, then rotate it by 90 degree, put it here, let us connect the resistance by wire with the collector. So for that the wiring option is there here, wire. So we connect from this end to the collector, and for this circuit also similarly from this end of the resistance R2 and the collector of T2. Okay, next what we do, we have to put in the power supply. Now power supply, the provision for batteries is there. Here is the battery, so this we bring, and as we know the other end of the two resistors R1 and R2 should be connected to the positive terminal of the battery. So let us rotate it by 180 degree. In one go we may not be able to do, but by two successive rotation by right we can put it like this. So bring it down and then connect through wire. So here and another wire, like that. And also the negative pole of the battery should be connected to ground, so we bring in the ground again through successive two rotation by right, we connect the ground point and bring it with this negative pole. Okay, so now as far as the value of the resistance goes, assuming that a bias current, a DC bias current of about 2 milliampere is allowed to flow through T1 and T2, we can select the resistance values not 1K but something around, say if we want a drop of nearly 6 volt, so for that the choice can be either 3.3K or 2.7K as we use in the laboratory. So better to suppose we want say 2.7K. okay, so for this as well as this resistance say R2, so here also instead of 1K we can select 2.7K. okay, next what we do, so we have to connect for the simplest form of differential amplifier. There should be a passive tail resistor. That means we know that the two emitters of the transistors T1 and T2 are connected by a wire. It's emitter coupled. In fact, the differential amplifier forms the very basis or the central element of a digital logic that goes by the name of emitter coupled logic. That means the two emitters of the transistors T1 and T2 are connected together. Okay, next what we do, we can enlarge the size for better visibility. So let us choose here, zoom it a bit, say we go it by 150%. okay, and bring it to our side, and also we can this end we can push it a bit towards the top, say towards this one. okay, next what we do is that we connect the configuration in a bipolar manner. That means here we have got, okay, another thing is that the value of the power supply is the default value is 5 volt, but in our laboratory we have continuously used 12 volt power supply. So let us turn the value of the power supply to be 12 volt, and on this side also via one tail resistor. So let us bring one resistor here, turn it by rotate right, okay, then connect it to this point. Whether it is connected or not, we don't know. Let's bring it a bit downwards and then connect through a wire. The connections we have to be very cautious. In this particular software TINA, they are very so once you get a filled in circle, we know that two wires are properly connected, like this point. Okay, next we connect a battery. So bring in a battery from here, and then as we know that the negative pole should be connected to the other end of the tail resistor R3. This is called tail because as if this is at the bottom, so bottom means it is connected to the tail of the circuit. That's why it goes by the name tail resistor. Next we connect it by two successive rotate right, like this one. Bring the I'm sorry, let me bring the let me I'm sorry, let us so let me put it once again. Put the battery here, two successive rotate right. Oh, again it is coming in this direction. Let us delete it. Oh God. Let me put another resistance in. Yeah, rotate right, put it here. One unnecessary wire has come, let us delete it. So for the connection we have to be very proper. Yeah, let us hope that it is done properly. And next what we do, or let us bring it a bit here, and I think it is connected. Okay, let us bring a ground, connect the ground here. Okay, next signal generator should be there. For that we have got a signal generator. Okay, bring it here. By default the property of this signal generator, let us see, it goes by unit step, but that is not our purpose because in the laboratory we normally require a sinusoidal signal generator. So here the various choices are there, as you can see. It can be pulse type, it can be step size, it can be a sinusoidal one, a cosinusoidal one, or a square wave, triangular, and so on. So let us choose this sinusoidal one. And as far as the value goes, okay, 1 volt will be too high. We have seen that as far as the signal handling capacity is there, we have chosen to satisfy ourselves with a peak to peak value of say 20 millivolt or 25 millivolt, something like that. So here the amplitude, that's why we can take it to be 10 millivolt. So 10 and then small m. Okay, and the frequency is not 50 hertz. So in the audio range, let us put it to be 1 kilohertz or 1000 hertz, right? So that's about the sine wave generator. Let us connect it by means of a wire with the base of this transistor T1. So that's what we are going to do next. Okay, and the other end of the signal generator we can connect to the ground. Okay, and similarly for differential mode the other base should be ground. Now that's allowing it. In the book you have seen that for the AC signal plus VDD by 2 is applied at the base of T1, whereas minus VDD by 2 is applied at the other base. Okay, here as we put the signal generator fully at the first base, and whereas the ground is connected here, so as if these 2 points are shorted. So this satisfies the pure differential mode connection. Clear? So that actually completes the circuit diagram. Okay, so what we can do, we can now go about with the DC analysis. So this completes the circuit diagram. Now come to the DC analysis. As you can see, calculate the nodal voltage. Okay, and as the wiring have been proper in our case, so no warning or error regarding the wiring is being shown. But suppose you make some unreliable connections, then some wiring error would be shown, wiring connection. So you have to put it in the wiring connection and then satisfy the thing. Okay, right? That's what. Okay, so now one example, if you want, I can show. Suppose this wire is not there. Suppose this wire is not there, and let us go with the DC analysis. Then if you do the DC analysis, you find that errors are shown. For example, warning, you see pin 1 of resistor R3 is not connected. So this is resistance R3 and this is the pin 1, it is not connected. So it is 0 errors but 1 warning. So we know that it will make the circuit meaningless. So you can connect it here and see that this is being painted in red. So this shows that we have to correct it. Okay, so what we can do, close it, then close this, and then do the correction. That means by means of a wire I can connect this other end of the wire, the terminal of the resistor, and connect it to this point. Okay, so now you see that this filled-in circle has come, so connection has been proper. So let's go to the DC analysis part. So now if we go to calculate the nodal voltage. Okay, so by means of a wire or probe we can see the different voltage. So here the voltage should be definitely 12 volt. You see the node potential is 12 volt. Here it is 6.37 volt. Here it is 6.37 volt, same voltage, and at the common emitter point it should be, say for better performance, it should be nearly 0. Let us see, it is minus 661.3 millivolt or minus 0.6 volt. Okay, and in this point it is minus 12 volt. In this point it is 0 volt, because the DC of the signal generator is kept at 0 volt. Note that we have not connected any capacitance here. That means there is no DC blocking capacitance we have kept in the on this side, as we have done in our common emitter amplifier. Okay, so reason is that this amplifier should be able to provide amplification right from the DC or the 0 hertz. Also, another purpose it serves is that there is no need to put any biasing resistor for T1 and T2. That saves our components. The DC available in the AC generator will serve to provide biasing for this transistor. Okay, because you see that due to the bipolar connection, here we have got plus 12 volt, here we have got minus 12 volt. So the transistor can be very well be sent to the linear active zone because of the presence of this of the DC voltage of this signal generator. Okay, so that completes the differential analysis. If you want to know the current, you see we can go to DC analysis and then put the table of DC results. So that will bring us the current as well as the voltage. As far as the current goes, you see what is this I underscore R 3,6. You see the nodes have been numbered. Here it is 3, the top point where it is connected to the plus 12 volt. Then 1 is at the collector of T2, 6 is at the collector of T1, 2 at the common emitter point, 4 at the negative pole of the bottom battery B2, then 5 is at the positive end of the signal generator, and 0 at the negative end of the signal generator. So 3,6 means between terminal 3 and between terminal 6. What is the current? That is 2.09 milliampere, roughly 2.1 milliampere. So you see that 2.1 milliampere is passing to 2.7 K, and it results in a voltage very near to 5.6 or something. So 6, that's why we have got here 6.37 volt. Okay, so that meets our requirement. Similarly, IR 3,1 is the current flowing in the right arm of the differential amplifier, that is also 2.1 milliampere, and you see the current that is flowing through the third resistor, the tail resistor, it is given by the value 4.2 milliampere. So 4.2 milliampere means roughly 2.1 milliampere on the left arm and 2.1 milliampere on the right arm. So they together make it 2.1 into 2, that means 4.2 milliampere, and 4.2 milliampere is passing through 2.7 K. So approximately 11 point something or nearly 12 volt drop takes place in that tube. So this circuit is well balanced as far as the differential amplifier operation goes. So now we have to take care of the AC operation, because the different once the biasing is proper. Okay, next we shall go to the AC analysis. So let us go to the AC analysis. Here we find say AC transfer characteristic. If you want to make, say for example, AC transfer characteristic. Okay, it says that you must add at least one output to the schematic. So we have to take the output, if you remember, as the collector of T1 and T2, and they will be out of phase because the input is applied at the base of the transistor T1. So what we have to do, we have to make arrangement for, let us make arrangement for two voltmeters, one connected to the collector of T1 and the other to the collector of T2. Let us see here, for example, we put meter, and then what meter we have got? This is voltmeter. This is voltmeter, ampere meter, and all that. So we can bring in from there a voltmeter. Okay, and another voltmeter will require to we put it on this side, right? Then we connect through wires. So this voltmeter we connect through wires to the common the collector of T2, and for this we connect through a wire this to this point. I'm sorry, it's looking a bit odd. Let us delete it. Let us put it properly. So this is straight wire connecting the positive terminal of the voltmeter to this point. Yeah, and this also is a bit wrapped around way. So we connect it from this point to, yeah, and next connect the ground to the from the basic. We connect the ground here and connect the ground here. Next will be we are in a position to go for the AC analysis of the circuit. Now that the connections are okay, no further elements are required for measurement as well as for providing the excitation. Okay, DC excitation as well as the AC excitation. The circuit is totally complete. So let us save the configuration. Let us see the complete circuit. So what we can do, go to the file, then save as, you give a name. As we know, this is the BJT based differential amplifier. So we can give a name. No name is just given the bias, sorry, the default name. So let us go BJT, then DFAM. Okay, and let us save it in a convenient directory. You can save it in a proper, in your own directory. So I choose to keep it in the desktop. So just save it in the desktop. Okay, right. Now we are in a position, the DC analysis we have already done. Next what we do, let us go over to AC analysis. Okay, so come to the AC analysis and see the AC transfer characteristic. Nodal voltage we can see, but that will not get any proper output. So this is 6.4 volt, the DC level, and here also the DC level you can see 7.07 millivolt. That does not give us any proper what you call insight. Let us go over to AC analysis, but the curve that we are on the lookout for, the frequency response, will get in the AC transfer characteristic. Here we see the start frequency. We can choose it from 10 Hz will be better one. We cannot start from 0 Hz, although this is meant for operating straight from the DC. 0 Hz, you know, the response that we shall see will be plot, the frequency is plotted in the logarithmic scale, and log 0 is minus infinity. Okay, so better to start from 10, right, because log 10 is 1. Okay, you remember that whatever you have done in your laboratory experiment, you did plot the frequency response starting from common emitter amplifier, common source amplifier in semi-logarithmic graph paper, where the frequency is plotted in the logarithmic scale and the amplitude gain, the voltage gain, that is given in decibel. Okay, right. So let us start from 10 Hz, but the end frequency, we know that normally the frequency range of this differential amplifier, okay, is normally much higher than 1 megahertz. It may go as high as say 20 megahertz. So why not keep the range a bit larger? So let us choose the start frequency to be something like 50 megahertz or say 40 megahertz. Okay, right. If we keep it 40 megahertz and the number of points is 100, then it will serve our purpose. Okay, so amplitude is given, phase we do not require, so we just click the OK. Okay, so thus we get, you know, that 2 voltmeters we have kept. So the two collector voltage will require. So let us go separate the outputs. Okay, so two different frequency response we are getting, one corresponding to the AC signal available at the collector of T1, the other at the collector of T2. Okay, now let us, you see that this is the midband gain. It starts actually directly from the zero end. It is actually 10 hertz we have started from, but surely that the DC there is no DC blocking capacitor in the base. Okay, and we know that the lower 3 dB cutoff or the lower cutoff frequency comes mainly due to the coupling capacitors and the bypass capacitors. But in this circuit, it is a DC coupled amplifier having no external capacitors, no discrete capacitors. So definitely we cannot expect to have a lower 3 dB cutoff point. What we can expect to have is the upper 3 dB cutoff point, because the upper 3 dB cutoff point is what? That you can tell me it is due to the device internal capacities. Okay, and for the here in both the NPN transistor, we have got two PN junction, one between base and collector. So corresponding to that, the CBC is there, internal device capacitance, also base collector and base emitter. So CBE and CBC, they will account for the upper 3 dB cutoff, and definitely we see here that there is a sharp bend here. So what is that frequency? We can try to find out from this plot. Let us first see about the midband gain in decibel. So we take the help of a cursor. So here we put the cursor. Okay, so let us put the cursor here and find the value. It is definitely lower than 40 dB. But what is the exact value? That is, yeah, it is 39.06 decibel. And here we are seeing it at the frequency that is corresponding to nearly 265 hertz. So we can start from the, you see that right from the 10 hertz we will get this same value. 39.06 prevails right from the 10 hertz. And for obtaining the upper 3 dB point, we have to see where the value of the voltage gain is 3 dB below, or it is 36.06 precisely. But let us see, we may not get that precision. 36.06 if you remember. Okay, so this is 35.83, 6.16. I think that should be, yeah, 35.99 or 36.06. This satisfies the case. So it is roughly, we see that 36 dB, nearly 3 dB cutoff, it is obtained as 17.7 megahertz. So upper 3 dB frequency for this particular differential amplifier that we have designed just now goes to 17.7 megahertz. That is the upper 3 dB cutoff. Okay, so that is the upper 3 dB cutoff frequency. Okay, now let us see for the, this is for VM1, and VM1 is the voltmeter kept to measure the AC signal available, obtainable at the collector of the right sided NPN transistor, that is T2. What about T1? We should expect similar voltage. It's a symmetrical combination. So let us see. Okay, so we bring the cursor here. Okay, here VM2, the value is again here 40, below 40. The actual value, let us see, yeah, 39.1 or something. Okay, and here as before, if you want to, for the BM2 means it is at the output of the collector of this T1, the left sided resistance. Okay, so I'm sorry, the left sided transistor T1. And if we bring in the cursor here right from 10 hertz, the same thing, midband gain extends from, there is no low frequency region, but there is a distinct upper frequency region. So upper 3 dB cutoff we are on the lookout for. We have to see where the amplitude is 36.1 decibel. So here say roughly yeah, 36.07 or 36.1, that is available at, I'm sorry, 36 point, yeah, somewhere, sorry, 36 point, yeah, let us be assured that this is 36.01, 35.9, let us be careful. Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, not there. cursor is a very minutely you have to bring in. Yeah, so 36.1, nearly 36.1 again get we at the same frequency is 17.69. If you remember, for VM1 VM2 both the upper 3 dB cutoff frequency happens to be at 17.7 megahertz. So that is the our bandwidth. So bandwidth of this differential amplifier, we can take it down. It is 17.7 megahertz. Okay, 17.7 megahertz. So that is the bandwidth of the differential amplifier that you have designed. Now this frequency response corresponding to the differential mode operation, we can try to save it in a particular file. For that, let us go over to the file menu. See, we can save it in the inherent format, but we will not be able to display it properly or even take the printout. So what we do, let us export it to a particular convenient format, that is bitmap or JPEG. JPEG is a very convenient format. The size is also reasonably small. So we give some name for this JPEG file, that it is a differential mode frequency response. So let us give diff mode frequency FREQ response, and save it in a proper convenient. It is a desktop for me. Good. So that completes the AC transfer characteristic, and we have saved in a file. But if we are interested to get the gain, actually, what is the gain? So gain in terms of the absolute gain. So for that, go over to analysis part and go over to transient, right? So transient, here you see the starting display is 0, fine, but ending display, the default value is given to be 1 microsecond. No, 1 microsecond will not serve. If you remember, our chosen frequency is 1000 hertz. So corresponding to 1 kilohertz, what is the 1 kilohertz frequency waveform? What is the corresponding time period? The reciprocal of 1 kilohertz, that is 1 millisecond. Okay, so if we want to display at least 5 clock cycles, we have to take the end display time to be 5 milliseconds, correct? So we give 5 small m. Okay, and then put OK. So here we get the two AC output signals, and below the AC input signal. As we know that the AC output signal will be obtainable in the volt range, whereas this is only millivolt. So let us separate the output first, so that we can get properly visible output. So separate a curve or separate output, whatever gives the same thing. Okay, so you see that this is the topmost curve, corresponds to the input wave, input signal, and the value is clear 20 millivolt peak to peak. But what about the output voltage? So VM1, if you recall, it happens at the collector of the right sided transistor T2. So let us calculate the output. Again, we take the help of a cursor. So this is the cursor here, you put it in the crest, right? So you get the value to be 7.25 volt. See that the range from 8 volt to 5 volt, the entire amplitude, peak to peak amplitude, could be accommodated between 5 and 8. So the crest or the topmost value is at 7.25 volt, corresponding to say 669 microsecond. That is for the time point. And what about the trough or the lowermost point? So let us put the other cursor here. Yeah, it is nearly 5.48 volt. Okay, and so 5.48 volt here is the trough, and 7.25, their difference is 1.77, or in other words, 1.77 volt is 1770 millivolt. So output peak to peak excursion of the signal, the value is 1770 millivolt, whereas for the input it is 20 millivolt. So what is the gain? That means AD, the differential mode voltage gain AD, we can write as the ratio of 1770 divided by 20. So that turns out to be 2 goes into 8 times 8. Then so it is 88.5. Okay, 88.5. It is the differential mode voltage gain. Again, for the other curve VM2, you can do the same exercise. You will find, I believe, the same thing will get nearly same. So it is A if you put it here. For VM2 means it is at the collector of the T1. So here, and take the other cursor, put it at the trough. Okay, so in this 5 roughly a bit of difference is there, 1.78. Okay, so 1.78 and 1.77 are nearly the same. So you see that nearly same, 88.5 millivolt, 88.5 or 89 is the differential mode voltage gain. Now another thing, if you have noticed, is that this this AC signal is available at the base of the transistor T1, and there is a clearly 180 degree phase shift between the base signal and the collector signal. Okay, so this is available at the base of the transistor T1, and VM2, this is available the bottommost curve. So clearly there is a, when there is a crest, there is a trough, and there is a trough in the AC base signal, there is a crest in the collector signal. So clearly this signal and this signal are out of phase, whereas this signal and this signal cross coupled, this base and this collector are in phase. Okay, so that satisfies our expectation. Now this is, we need to save this curve. So what we can do, again go to the file menu, save as, no, we have to export it to JPEG format so that we can view it properly, and give a name, say this is the differential mode, say diff mode what, frequency response. Okay, so frequency response, and let us save it in the desktop. Good. So that completes the experiment regarding the differential mode, but we need to find out the common mode rejection ratio, or CMRR. For that we have to connect the transistors in common mode form. What is that? Common mode is, as we know, that the same input signal is applied at the base of both the transistors. So what we can do, we first remove this ground connection, and then put the transistor from put the two bases connected together, so by means of wire. Okay, so in this form we can put the two bases together. Next, carry out the experiment. The AC transfer characteristic first. Let us see. Ideally it should be 0, but we will not get because of the practical constants. So we will get some voltage value, not 0 in the ideal case. So what we do first, we go to the AC analysis. Let us see the frequency response first. AC transfer characteristic, if you do with the same start point and end point, if you do, okay, you see that it starts from -6 dB, that is 20 log the AC, the common mode voltage gain. 20 log what value gives you -6? If you tell me 20 log -6 means, say 20 log AC equals to -6, then as far as I remember, log 2 is 0.3. okay, so 20 multiplied by 0.3, 0.3010 will give you -6. So roughly we can say that the common mode voltage gain is roughly half. So this is the frequency response of common mode. So you can also save it. There is no need to collect the as you can see that 3 dB upward from here will be somewhere same. So that means if you see this value is obtainable at -6, then from here, at which point it gets you to the 3 dB upward, so it will be roughly in the same, I believe, so -3.13. yeah, so nearly 17.8, 17.79 or so. So that means it quite like the value that we got for A. Okay, so what you can do, you can save this curve as well. So that means you can save it, say edit, file, then the export it JPEG and give the name like say common mode, say common mode frequency response or whatever. You give the name and save it. But more importantly, let us find the actual voltage gain. So we go to analysis and then the transient that gives us the time varying signal. Okay, so starting from 0 and this is fine, 5 millisecond, that means 5 clock cycles we shall get. And let us separate the curve, go to view and then separate the curve. Yeah, so we get the two output curve. You see now is much smaller than, so this is the input curve, that is 20 millivolt peak to peak. But let us say for the VM1, so this is the trough, say it gives you 6.37 millivolt corresponding to this time, and next this one will give me okay. So you see that the peak to peak value is 9.85 millivolt, so roughly 10 millivolt. Okay, so 10 millivolt is the peak to peak value of the VM1 that corresponds to the voltage available at the output of the collector T1. Okay, and the corresponding peak to peak value is 10 millivolt, nearly 10 millivolt, whereas the input value is 20 millivolt. So 10 by 20, you get the common mode voltage gain AC to be half or 0.5. Okay, right? And also you notice that now as the same signal is applied at the bases of both the transistors, so the collector voltages are in phase. T1 and T2, you see that at the same point the crest occurs, and it is at the same time that the trough occurs at the base signal. So the two base signals are in phase, whereas the two collectors are also in phase, and this base and collector are out of phase 180 degree. Okay, so we get the collector, the common mode voltage gain AC to be nearly 0.5. Similarly, you can also verify for the other voltmeter value, that means we have seen for VM1, you can also see it for VM2. Okay, yeah, similarly just put a cursor, put it at any crest, say like this, and put another cursor, put it at the trough, next trough, let us say. If you do it, you get, see the peak to peak value is 9.82, slightly different from others. So but roughly we can see that the differential mode voltage gain is 0. I'm sorry. Okay, so I don't know what the figure has vanished. Let me bring it out. I put by mistake something. So anyway, the common mode voltage gain is AC. Now what is the yeah? So let us save the file again. Bring it the file. Yeah, BJT differential amplifier. We can bring it back the circuit. Yeah, good. And let us also input the magnitude 150. Yeah, let us bring it here. Let us bring the circuit. Okay, the circuit is back. So in this experiment, what you have done, okay, the last portion is as regards the computation of the CMRR, common mode rejection ratio. That is what? That is AD by AC. So here if you do it, what value you get? The value that you get is okay, 88.5 divided by 0.5. So the absolute value is 177. Okay, AD is the value of 88.5, AC is the value of 0.5. So their ratio gives me 177, and 20 log 177 will give me from calculator 20 log 177, that is nearly 45 decibel. Okay, so you get the common mode rejection ratio of this differential amplifier to be 45 decibel, and that is good enough. Nearly it ranges from 40 to 60, something like that. Okay, so that completes this experiment. So the output features are what? I'll now ask you to do a bit of modification of the circuit. That means you have to replace this passive tail resistor R3 by a current mirror circuit. So what we do that, let me show. First you delete this and put a ground connection. Okay, then the current mirror circuit, all of you remember, you have done it in the laboratory. The basic current mirror that consists of 2 transistors. So let us go over to the semiconductor, bring a transistor here, another transistor, and this should face back to back, so do a mirror. Okay, bring the transistor closer, connect the 2 bases by means of a wire. Okay, and this is a collector, base to collector, this should be shorted. This is a direct coupled transistor. Connect the 2 emitters by means of a wire. Now you see that 2 milliampere are flowing on both the arms. So what is current? That means this passive resistor R3 should be replaced by this current mirror. Okay, so what we need to do, basically this is the reference current and this is the output current. This output current should be nearly 4 milliampere. So in order to provide 4 milliampere, what we can do is that if we connect it to the point, say if we connect it to 0 volt rather than 12 volt, then the the resistance value you can find that should be nearly 2.7 K. Okay, that we can verify. So if you put it, the details you should do later. Let us make the circuit for you. Even that also you can do, but I am just try to make your job simpler. Just connect it like this, rotate right. Sorry, this just bring it up. Connect it by means of a wire, and then put a ground connection. Put it right, and then put it here. And also this point should be biased. You can bias by this 12 volt. Okay, so bring this 12 volt here. Cut this. Cut this wire. Bring this ground connection. This completes the current mirror circuit. Next, what you do, you cut this wire. Just cut the wire. This also will go out. Next, the wire will also go out. The entire circuit I need to I'm sorry, what we do is that let me put it later. So sorry, this just cut out the wire, this group it together and then bring it somewhere here. Okay, it comes good. So now, yeah, so bring the ground connection here. Okay, and just connect these 2 points. So by means of a wire you connect this common emitter point to this. Okay, so that completes the diagram, but I will not do the analysis. That you have to do. A small home assignment, dear friend. What you can do, in fact, is that okay, I can save it in whatever name, say the modified one. So modified differential amp, whatever, by this name I save it here. Anyway, so this completes the circuit. This completes the circuit, but what you have to do is that you have to analyze the circuit properly and see that in fact you get nearly 4 milliampere here. That I am not going to do. That you take as a small home assignment. So for this circuit, what you do, find out if there can be any error in the wiring connection also, that you have to correct. So this you have to first figure out, first draw the schematic completely, then find out the AC voltage and current, and find out the transfer characteristic, see whether it differs from the previous one or not, okay, and the transients. So both for differential mode and common mode that you have done in the class today, okay. So differential mode means the signal will be applied in this fashion. The AC generator, it is connected to base of T1 and this point to T2, okay. And for common mode, the two bases will be connected together, having removed this ground connection, of course, okay. And then instead of the passive resistor, this active current source will be there. So you get roughly the output resistance to be much larger compared to 2.7K. You please find out whether that leads to any change of the AC transfer characteristic also for the transient, whether the gain increases or not. That will be your home task. So, and what you have to provide me, you have to draw the circuit yourself, okay. You can play with the different values of resistance also. Instead of 2 milliampere here, you can freely experiment. You can put 1.25 milliampere on each arm, or 1 milliampere in each arm. Then this will be 2 milliampere. Then this value will be different from not 1K. It will be, say, if you have 2.7K, you can verify. If you have got R4 to be 2.7K, then 4 milliampere will be available here. You can take the VV voltage to be 0.6 volt. Okay, so you are free to play with the circuit. You can take it to be, say, 1.5 milliampere in each arm. Then the total current through this will be 3 milliampere, and accordingly you have to choose the value of R4. Okay, but the values of the resistors should be consistent, so that you can get approximately same current flowing through the two arms, and their sum will give you the total current here, okay. And that should be provided by this active current mirror, okay. And then find out the DC analysis, the AC analysis, and you have to save the both for differential mode and common mode, the frequency response as well as the transients. You have to also find the common mode rejection ratio. That will be your home task. So you please send me your outputs within the next 24 hours, okay. That should be your home task, and next week we can hold a laboratory test as well as laboratory quiz, okay. So any doubt you have got, you can send me through the chat window, and also you are free to communicate with me over email, okay. Thank you, dear friends. If any question is there, please send me the questions over email. I'll be happy to clear your doubts and answer your questions. Thank you very much. Okay, let us take the end. Let us say goodbye. Please stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much.